Good afternoon. Welcome to the 330 Sports Show. My name is Justin Coffin. Alongside me, Joe Danier. It is Tuesday, June 25th, 2024. We got a whole lot to talk about in the sports world and otherwise. As always, we will dive into randomness as well as we like to dip our toes or sometimes dive just straight on head first. So
you're kind of animated today. Like I zoomed you in.
Yeah.
And you just don't move around a whole lot when we get started. But
I'm a little like, well, I had to get I was struggling. I've been up since like 5 this morning. I was just like needed a little caffeine boost. So I am a little wired right now.
I got you centered.
Yeah, that's
so
good.
when you just let me know if you feel like leaning or like getting into the Italian.
Oh yeah, no, I'm a hand talker even though I'm not Italian. So
all right,
we'll see. We'll see what we'll
carry on.
We'll just see what the show brings. Who knows? So let's go with not that.
Hold
page.
on,
No, it's all right. It's all right. Man. So let's go with what's on tap for today. So here's what we're gonna get into. The Cleveland Guardians. They are on a 6-game winning streak. We're gonna talk about Quan, Ramirez, Clase, the whole. Just some crazy stats, especially the bullpen and what they are doing is amazing right now. We're going to talk about the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yesterday, they hired their new head coach, Kenny Atkinson. We will talk about him, what he brings to the table, the upcoming NFL or NBA draft, excuse me. The Cavs have the 20th pick, some trade moves they might make. We're going to talk about, what's trending in pop culture. That's the Tuah girl. So we're gonna get into it. We don't avoid interesting subjects on this show. We're gonna get into that. We're gonna talk about fights in the stands, and what you would do. The Stanley Cup obviously finished last night, and we'll talk a little TV. What's on right now? House of the Dragon is big. The Bear is starting soon. Dark Matter is a really good show that anyone with a science or science fiction type background might enjoy. Multiverse, a lot of crazy stuff.
There's been a lot of that theme going on. So
yeah, it should be. It's a really good, and the final episode is actually coming out tomorrow night. So look for that. As always, we are a Youngstown Studio production. If you're watching on the screen, you can see the handles right there, 330 Sports Show, and that's on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. X, and then Youngstown Studio, Facebook, Instagram, which is more the Youngstown Studio Instagram is more of a Joe Danier fan cam kind of out there.
Really?
Yeah, from what I've noticed.
Well, I think what happened is I accidentally paired it with my phone, and anytime I snap a picture, it automatically
it's always still interesting though. So it's good stuff.
I gotta look to see what's out there because I don't know.
It's all right. It's all right. Yeah, make sure you're sending the right picures on the right places, but it
does it automatically. So is there any nudie shots or anything that I would be embarrassed about?
No. At least I don't think so.
All right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And then if you do follow Youngstown Studio on X, it's at Y-Town Studio. So make sure Youngstown Studio must have not been available on there. But before we get started, I do want to bring up this date in history, not only sports history, but movie history. This was a big day for Cobra Kai. They really got robbed of a All Valley medal. As we know,
that is very unpopular to take Cobra Kai's angle on this.
Now, if you look, everyone knows my hatred for Grandpa Joe. He's one of the worst all-time movie villains that a lot of people don't know about. Now, Daniel LaRusso in that show. With Mr. Miyagi is a great guy. There's no hating on Mr. Miyagi. Daniel LaRusso though was kind of an instigator, kind of a prick in high school, and I'm not saying Cobra Kai wasn't at fault, but let's just not
Sounds like
forget.
You're a sympathizer.
I am a Cobra Kai sympathizer, especially since that show has come back out on Netflix.
Oh, all right. So Justin, when you were 13, weren't you a dick instigator? I think every 13-year-old is.
Yeah, but that was in 8th grade. He's in high school. So 14, 15. I mean,
all right.
No, actually, I was not an instigator either.
No.
Not much of one. Now more so, but yeah, back then, no.
See, I give him a
Pretty
pass.
straight
When I
face.
watched the movie, like
Yeah.
I knew who the villain was and I knew who the hero was. And though he might have took his stabs and compromising positions,
Yeah.
I was still on Team Danny.
Yeah, and that's fair. That's fair. But like I said, I'm a Mr. Miyagi guy. Love him. But Johnny, I can kind of sympathize with him now. You look back at the coaches and their Terry Silver, Punk, bad guy, and then I forget the other crew. I forget the main coach's name, but he was a bad dude too. So kind of feel bad a little bit for Johnny. But if you have not seen that Cobra Kai show, it is pretty good. And I think there's like one more season coming out on Netflix.
But that is the weirdest part of it, is that you kind of get to like the person that you hated when you were a kid, and you kind of like are almost cheering for him because he's such a dumpster fire.
You know what? Let's do a real quick.
Yeah.
Who is someone that is a villain that you kind of root for? We'll do more of a deep dive on this in a future show.
Not really a villain, but Dexter. Like I would totally kill.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dexter is someone like, I mean, he literally kills people, but he kills people that kill other people.
Absolutely.
So he's kind of like taking out the trash.
Exactly.
So yeah, I like that one.
But that genre of vigilante in that era was like the best, because you got to root for the bad guy.
Yeah,
but he was the good guy, really.
It's kind of like the Taylor Swift, the anti-hero. You're rooting for the anti-hero. So that's kind of how I thought about
Swift.
I did.
You did?
I did. Yeah. That's all right.
All right.
That's all right. Yeah. So,
what about your villain?
Mine, I was just thinking, and literally that just came on the spot. So one that comes to mind would be Tony Soprano.
Yeah.
He was a bad dude, killed a lot of guys, but at the end of the day, you kind of like feel for him, and you kind of root for him, and you kind of like him. Same thing maybe with like Walter White in Breaking Bad. Kind of, you're kind of root, even though they're the bad guy, Dexter, Tony Soprano, Walter White, whoever it might be, you kind of have like a soft spot for him too. So, and Tony Soprano, minus like the killing and all the other shit he does, you can kind of like, he's kind of a relatable guy too. So I don't know. Move on from that. So yeah.
Segue. Here we go. Let's see how you set this one up.
There's no real segue here. So speaking of no, there's no segue for this one. Yeah, we're just gonna talk about the Cleveland Guardians. Real quick.
Second baseman murders the outfielder.
Yeah. Well, how about this? The Cleveland Guardians are murdering their opponents, but I'm rooting for them. So they're doing really well. They have an 8-game lead on the Minnesota Twins, who is in second place in the division. Look at the White Sox, 31 games back. They're like performing at an all-time historically bad level. But the Guardians, 5th in team ERA, kind of middle of the pack in batting average. However, they're 5th in runs scored. So 5th in runs allowed, 5th in runs scored out of a 30-team league. That is pretty good stuff, and that equals a lot of wins. They are one of 3 teams with 50 wins, and they are tied with the fewest losses in all of baseball. So
question.
Doing great stuff.
I saw some attendance statistics for the Guardians, and over the last 3 years, it's ramped up significantly on that. Does that mean something? Do the fans see something in this team that might be a pennant run?
I think generally this time of year the crowds start getting better because of the weather, and if the team is playing well, you have that gap between football in the fall and basketball right now. So they're kind of the only game in town right now. You got other things to do, but when they're playing well and they can carry that through the summer. So 2022 was a good example. That would be the first year of your example. Last year they struggled a little bit, and they kind of were up and down, but didn't quite get to the playoffs. They had a losing record for the first time in a while last year. But like you said, though, the attendance has kind of gone up because I think, one, the games were quicker last year and into this year. The pitch clock has helped. I think the speed of the game is helping. But I think Cleveland, Pittsburgh does a nice job too at PNC. They make the experience really good for the fans. In Cleveland, they took out a ton of seats. So like that, especially that right field upper deck, left field line. They took out a lot of upper deck seats. So it's like kind of a more intimate setting. And you feel like you're right there. This team is like a fun team to root for because there's a lot of underdog type guys on it. And they just play baseball the right way. They hustle everything out. There's no like prima donnas or anything like that. They just get after it, and they're a fun team to watch. So that would be my reasoning. I don't really have this equals that, but I think that would be my reasoning. So
yeah, I did notice that a lot of, not only just in Cleveland, but even like at concert venues, that they're more accommodating with like dinner and hanging out. And it's not just like go there and make concessions with overpriced beer. They're setting up restaurants that are full service. And so like if I'm going to a game and I want to go up there a little bit early and have dinner before that, like they got the facility to pull something like that off.
Yeah, Cleveland is a city that used to get like kind of ragged on a lot before, I would say like early 2000s, late 90s. And then there was sort of that renaissance of like, first of all, the new stadiums all coming sort of the same time, then the LeBron James factor, and then all these things started coming back. And then LeBron left, there was a little bit of a lull. But now, since the Cavs won a title, mid-2000 teens, 2016, and then the Guardians are playing well, the Browns are back in it, but the city has sort of revitalized itself. So I think Cleveland is really doing a nice job. They've renovated the Flats area. The East Bank looks great. I know there's a lot more people they're driving to move downtown, which is sort of what we need here in Youngstown too. But I don't know. Cleveland's got its act together with the leadership at the top. Youngstown, maybe take a page out of that book. I know Youngstown's not Cleveland, but it's maybe take some notes and maybe don't kick people out of downtown, and maybe have some parking for some people. Looking at you, Tito.
See, I thought you were going to say it without saying it, but then you just said it.
Yeah. I mean, and Tito's like the mayor. I've never met him. I've been at events and stuff where he's been there. I've never talked to him, but just speaking from a Youngstown perspective, I feel bad for, we're talking about the greatness of Cleveland and what's going on right now, a renaissance, the restaurants, venues, the theater district, all that stuff is amazing. But down here, there's a lot of great things that can happen. There's a lot of things there's a lot of great people. There's a lot of really good businesses, but the access to those things is not easy. It's not accessible.
So I'm coercing you as Mayor Coffin.
First of all, I would never run for an office.
I know you're not going to run. That's why I'm going to force you to be the mayor of Youngstown.
Okay.
So if you got the scepter, you can do whatever you want in Youngstown. What moves are you making?
The first thing I would do is hire a great team around me, because that is not my that's not my specialty.
So what do you think is lacking? Not specifics, but what areas do you think we're lacking?
I think I hate to say this because I love Youngstown. I love the surrounding areas. I love the communities. But Youngstown...
Get it off your chest, man. That's good.
Youngstown, and I saw a post. I think it was the Federal. I don't want to... But I think certain businesses, certain people are afraid to speak up because the city... I mean, the main area of Youngstown is almost inaccessible by vehicle right now. It's pathetic. And this is the time of year when there's concerts. You get people down there for restaurants, for games, whatever it might be. Well, not games right now, but you know what I mean. For any type of, they just canceled the Italian Fest. And I understand a freaking building blew up, recently. And there's things, safety issues come first. But at the same time, if you stop pushing things down the road, if you get your shit together and fix the problem right away and stop putting band-aids on stuff and start actually putting solutions and the money in the right place and hiring the right people, shit gets done. And the fact that Youngstown cannot figure this out, and now we're talking like 4 decades worth. Now, there used to be corruption here. Everybody knows it was formerly a mob town, stuff like that. We are past that. And the renaissance of downtown happened, but I feel like it plateaued, and I feel like it could go one way or the other right now, and it's up to the city leadership to figure that out.
Yeah. So, well, the
That's all I
difference
got.
is, like in a smaller city like Struthers,
Yeah,
the mayor actually communicates with businesses. They understand
she
that
does a
tax
great
base,
job. Yeah.
totally the template of what all mayors should do.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was talking to Mark Canzanetta, bistro, big restaurant
Yes.
downtown,
And he is
by,
one that does stand up for himself and speak out.
for sure.
I love that. Yes.
You would expect that if there was, the city was planning on doing pulling up some streets or whatever, that it would warrant a conversation at the very freaking least.
Very least, yes. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. And then when we do have stuff here, like for example, I had my daughter's 5th birthday party at Oh Wow. She invited her classmates, like their parents, their brothers, sisters, stuff like that. So there was a good amount of people. I think there was like 40 people at that party. That's, how many different cars? 20 different cars. And like I talked to people and they're like, I don't know where to park and stuff like that. And I'm like, this is one party. Imagine if there was like a YSU basketball game and like a concert at Cavelli and, excuse me, a bunch of other stuff going on. It's like, this was like the, middle of January. And it's like, there's not a ton going on except for maybe some people eating at restaurants or going to see, a show at Dior or something. But it's like, for God's sakes, get it together, So I don't know. What do you think? Like, let me flip that on you. You're mayor of Youngstown. What do you do?
Yeah. See, I would probably make it very obvious that I'm a pro business. I would be downtown talking to business owners every day. If I'm tearing up a road, I'm running a campaign to help these businesses stay afloat. You got a lot of dedicated people in the downtown that's willing to stick their neck out as long as they get the support of that administration. So I would just be, and even if I can't do anything specifically, I would show support and rally behind those businesses.
Exactly.
100%.
So, at the end of the day, you're as good as your weakest link. And at the end of the day too, it all starts at the top, no matter what. It's like the tip of the iceberg. I know Youngstown has a lot of problems, but this started from like talking about how good Cleveland was doing. By the way,
we spiral. That's what we do on the show.
We told you there'd be a lot of randomness. So yeah. No,
so okay, you got 3 choices for this building. So last month we had a building that had an explosion. It made the building unstable. The company decided that it's probably going to be demolished.
Yep.
So we have 3 choices now. We have some historical groups that want to save the building to be able to spend the money to reinforce it to save the historical nature of the building.
Yep.
We got number 2, which is rebuild another skyscraper. Get a company in there that will rebuild something equal to what was there, or a parking lot. What's your choice?
Not a parking lot. A parking lot does not bring, well, maybe in Youngstown it does bring in revenue, but
and audience, listen, like he just complained about lack of parking, and I'm giving him a profile to get like 9 spots at least.
But what are they parking for? Because now you lost, that's a building that had people living in it. Like, I don't know how many
apartments.
Wasn't
like
it like
80
80-ish apartments. So that's 80 people or 80 families or 80 whatever that are gone. And isn't the building next door, that International Towers, isn't that
another apartment complex?
It's like a question mark. And I think there's a lot of people with like, special needs and stuff that might live there too. So I don't know. My personal option is if you can save the building, you save it. But again, I don't own it. I don't know where that money comes from. So again, I'm complaining about something I don't have a solution for, but I'm also not in that position. I don't want that
at the
job.
Beginning of the show, I gave you the scepter. You're like a god in this conversation.
Well,
you can do it anything you want.
Well, if
you could build a pyramid there,
then I would say, Joe, I need more time. Leave me alone. Do not put me on the spot and make me answer these questions as a city leader. But I mean,
yes, Your Highness,
there are people in the right places that should be making those smart decisions. And it's like, if you don't have the answers, then you shouldn't be in that office. Like, and I'm not calling for anybody's job or anything like that, but it's like, just do your job. Know what you're supposed to do. If you don't, find somebody that knows what they're doing and bring them in to consult. So
Do you want to run for co-mayors? We can pull this off. I think we do really well.
I would love to consult and give opinions. I do not want to be the mayor of Youngstown, although maybe you can't do much worse sometimes.
Oh, and I hear you get a Cadillac as a company vehicle.
Yeah, screw Cadillacs. I'm not that old yet. So why don't you give them a Buick instead? So they're not a sponsor, are they?
Oh,
all right. Let's go back to Cleveland.
Oh, sports.
Let's talk about something good. Stephen Kwan.
Okay.
Stephen Kwan, I bet, can find a parking spot in downtown Cleveland. I bet Stephen Kwan goes and shops at the local stores and eats at the local restaurants and stuff, because you know what? He probably has a place to live and they don't have a freaking gas leak to worry about too. So
you're really pulling this topic forward.
I'm pissed. I'm pissed. No, I'm done. We're moving forward. Stephen Kwan. He plays for the Cleveland Guardians. This is just a quick update. 389 batting average. Now I think he went 1 for 4 yesterday, and his batting average dipped, because when you're hitting 389, you got to basically get 2 hits every day to keep your average, up. So this guy, though, is doing some amazing things. If you look, he has walked 4 more times on the year than struck out. And as soon as he is eligible, he missed a few games. He missed a few weeks with a calf injury, but he is back, and he is one of the best players right now in all of baseball. So credit to Stephen Kwan. His teammate, Jose Ramirez, should be the starter at third base for the American League All-Star team. Another 20 home run, 15 stolen base season. He actually tied yesterday Manny Ramirez for the same amount of home runs. I think it's like 264 in Cleveland baseball history. So pretty amazing stuff there. And he is also, 15 steals, playing good defense, getting after it, and leading the team. Like, this is just someone that is doing some amazing stuff, continuing. I think he came up in 2013. He's now 31 years old, but he's got several more years of his prime, I believe, to go. All right, another positive with the Cleveland Guardians. Look at this bullpen. It is not even close. The second best team right now in ERA. So 2.32 ERA, which is best in all of baseball. 313 strikeouts, best in all of baseball. They've only given up 17 home runs. Their WHIP, which is walks plus hits per inning pitched, is less than 1 per inning. So you take walks and you add that to hits, and it is less than 1 per inning for the bullpen. And then inherited runners stranded. 79.2% of people on bases are not scoring. So 1 out of every 5 is scoring. Joe, that is the opposite statistic of kids that bring their parents to an interview that we talked about last week. So 20% of kids bring, I guarantee, if they're coming in from the bullpen, they're letting those runners score. So good stuff out of the Cleveland Guardians bullpen. And one more note here. This just shows how good they are, nearly 0.8 of a run better than the Dodgers, and almost a full run, 0.9 of a run better than the Atlanta Braves, who have the second and third best relievers in all of baseball. So it starts again at the top. When you have good leadership and a good closer, you get things done. Emmanuel Clase, Hunter Gaddis, Cade Smith, Scott Barlow actually closed out the game last night. Sam Hentges and Tim Herron are the primary members of that bullpen that are getting stuff done. So great job by them. Hopefully that keeps up. So let's switch Cleveland teams. Now we're transitioning in. The NBA Finals are over, and we're switching into the draft, which comes later this week. But the Cavs were one of the few teams in the NBA without a head coach. Yesterday, they took care of that. They hired Kenny Atkinson, who was Steve Kerr's top assistant at Golden State with the Warriors, helped them back in 2022 when their last title, and also was a previous head coach of the Brooklyn Nets. He has coached Jared Allen before, I believe Karis LeVert before. He is an offensive-minded coach, and he is a guy that wants his team shooting a lot of threes. This Cavs team is going to be up and down. They're going to be a very offensive team. However, they were one of the best defensive teams in the league, but kind of struggled at times with JB Bickerstaff on offense. So I think this move helps the offense. The defense, I do not think will take a step back. We will see who is next on, what happens next. The Donovan Mitchell extension looks like it is almost a foregone conclusion. So hopefully he will be back in the fold with the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Cavs have the 20th pick in the draft. We'll see if I know they have to make a selection this year. I'm not sure if they can move off of that or not. So we will see. And then we'll see how they retool their roster, whether they trade Garland, whether they trade Allen, but they look to be moving forward with Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley as their key centerpieces. So we will see with that. Joe, this next slide is going to be for you.
Okay.
This is the Cavs' new head coach, Kenny Atkinson. Does he bear a resemblance to anybody?
Big time.
A little Shooter McGavin-esque.
Look at that scowl.
So I saw that and I'm like, I'm just going to look up Shooter McGavin. And one of the images I found was your favorite. Shooter McGavin eating a box of pieces of shit for breakfast. So.
You eat pieces of shit for breakfast?
No. but the look that scowl right there that he's given, I think it's the hair a little bit too. Just has a very similar vibe. So
well, I will tell you, Shooter was the superior player in that movie.
That's very true. Yeah, I will say Happy Gilmore, because we're going to go into golf. That's a great transition next. But Happy Gilmore was not penalized on those when he got real frustrated about going to his happy place. And Shooter came in, took all those strokes and somehow he didn't, I think he got a bogey on that hole or something. But he swung and missed like 8 times. So,
what I want to do one time is I want to take a player who's new to the league, who we can get into tournaments, and have him play the part of Happy Gilmore and see if the whole thing plays out like Happy Gilmore was.
Yeah.
Ride the bull, scream at fans, like the whole thing. And see if it plays out the same way.
Okay. That would be phenomenal. And just like we were talking about with BJ, we need some villains in golf. We do. And
who is the last golf villain that you can think of?
Villain? I mean, I would have said not too long ago, Bryson DeChambeau was one of the bigger villains, and Brooks Koepka. Some people love him, some people hate him.
Would you say John Daly is a villain?
Not a villain.
Okay.
I think John Daly is and he was in Youngstown yesterday. But I think he's a super likable guy. I think he's really relatable, but he doesn't have that traditional golf look. But I think that's why people like him too. It's like, he was sponsored by Hooters. He wears these crazy looking outfits and stuff like that.
He doesn't care.
I think there's part of him that does care, but you're right. Deep down, he's like, screw it. I am who I am. And it would be cool if more people embrace that too.
See, I would consider that a villain, someone who pushes on the status quo.
Yeah.
But we need a real villain, like in WWF or WWE, whatever it is now. We need someone to hate.
Yeah. And to me, that would be a good question for BJ. I'm not sure if he has a villain in mind. I don't.
BJ! That's what we do.
I don't have a super villain that I can think of. But while he thinks about this, we're gonna bring BJ up. But right now we're gonna talk about the most boring player in golf, but also the best player, Scotty Scheffler, who BJ brought up is one of the problems in golf right now because he's so damn good, but he's so boring. So. If we look this year in March, he won the Arnold Palmer Invitational. In April, the RBC Heritage. In May, Rory won the Wells Fargo, but that's because Scheffler had a child and didn't play in that one. In June, Scheffler won the Memorial down in Columbus, just won the Travelers Championship last week. And Scotty Scheffler now has 12 wins since 2022. He has played 115 career events. 56 of those, so more than almost half of his times he enters a tournament, he finishes in the top 10. He has 12 wins. He's played 424 rounds, and he's made $70.1 million in his career. this year, 15 events, under par this year, 205 shots under par, and also 1 arrest. So, which is the most exciting part about him. Now, BJ, I don't know if you had too much time to think about this, but we were talking about golf villains. Who is, if you had to pick one right now, who's the ultimate golf villain?
The ultimate golf villain, or just somebody recent?
It could be of all time or in recent history. It doesn't, whatever you have in mind.
Shooter McGavin.
We're really putting him on the spot.
Recent would be Patrick Reed.
Okay.
For sure. Because like players on tour don't like him. A lot of fans think he cheats. You know, I like Patrick Reed a lot just because he says what he he makes it interesting. Yeah. You know what I mean? He is kind of a dick, but like he makes it interesting. But he would be recent. Sergio Garcia is probably on this list too.
Interesting. Okay.
He's another guy that like just says whatever he feels like. You know, like he's been kind of killed for it, but he's again, both these guys are on live, so you don't get to see him very often anymore. On the PGA tour right now, I don't know that everybody's so damn boring that I don't know that really.
We need a shooter, right? Shooter McGavin.
You need a Shooter McGavin on there.
The one guy, and his name's escaping me, but Don Johnson plays on Tin Cup. That movie, he's a total dick in that.
David
movie.
Sims.
Yeah, he's like a total villain in that movie too, and he's really hateable. But we need that, you know, that clean cut guy that like is like, you know, the prototypical golfer, but like deep down you really can't stand him. That's who we
Bob Barker. That's him.
There's guys, there's several PGA golfers that are like that, but they're low key like that, right? So they put up a total kind of fake persona. Matt Kuchar, number one. You remember the story about Matt Kuchar ripping off the caddy?
I know.
Okay, so Matt Kuchar gets into it. So his caddy can't come to a tournament with him, right? So generally the payout for a caddy is like 10% of the winnings, 10 to 15% of the winnings.
Yeah.
He wins this tournament, something like close to $2 million. And then he pays the guy, I think he gives him like $5,000 or something. Like he get like, but he's like, oh, well, we just had like a handshake deal at the beginning of the week that this is what he was going to get. He was completely gonna just give him like next to nothing. And then all the fans are like, dude, like you're an asshole.
So
like,
if we're talking $2 million, he should have been 200,000.
Yes.
Villain.
Yeah. So Matt Kuchar, total douche.
Screw Matt Kuchar. What a last name.
T-shirts.
Too. Another guy that I can't stand is Adam Scott. Just another.
Yeah.
Again, if you want to talk about like prim, proper, or whatever, just
is he an Australian guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and so my hatred for him began.
I mean, he's not even from America, for God's sakes.
We love Australia. Don't let me
do.
My hatred for him didn't even come about until like I sort of heard that he's sort of fake and everything else, but it came from that stupid broomstick putter he uses, where it's like all the way up under his chin.
So
it's like you look like a jerk off.
It is Pride. It's Pride Month, Joe.
Did I say that out loud?
But anyways, like that, it's like you can't root for a guy like that. Like he wins the Masters that one year, and he's celebrating with this giant freaking pole in his hand. It's like, what do you look like?
No comment. BJ said it.
BJ said he's celebrating with
so Adam Scott. Yeah, I don't like him either. So yeah, so there's a few of them anyway for you.
That's where he dropped that, and you turn into Michael Scott. That's what she said. I love it. So yeah, so we need more villains. If you guys think of any villains, throw them out at us, because you know, we can name some fictional villains, but right now, currently, there's not a whole lot of guys
almost there. Every sport has villains. Golf is one that's hard to pick out.
Yeah, and we have talked more golf and WNBA on this show in the last like 2 months than maybe in the entire like previous 3.5 years.
We tripled WNBA's coverage.
Yes, just us, not Caitlin Clark. You know, we're the Angel Reese of the WNBA. We have done that. So, all right, let's move on to another topic. But there's Scheffler's stuff. Oh, speaking of resumes, remember we were talking about resumes last week? Look at this resume. JJ Redick, who is now the head coach of the Los Angeles Lakers, one of the premier franchises in all of sports. Last year, Brooklyn Basketball Academy, 2023-2024, volunteer fourth grade boys head coach. Now, Obviously, we know JJ Redick was a player for many, many years in the NBA, a good 3-point shooter, played at Duke under Coach K. And he was one of the play-by-play color commentary guys on ABC, ESPN coverage. But to have zero head coaching experience, and now we know LeBron is on this team as of now, Anthony Davis, and some other guys with some serious experience. I think they were trying to bring in somebody that the guys might respect as a former player, but also that will maybe like let them do their thing. So
it would almost be like Blake Lively making me her boyfriend. That's what it would be like. A normie.
I don't know if that's quite as realistic. Have you dabbled in the celebrity dating pool before?
I haven't. But it seems very illogical that you would choose me.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So yeah, that's interesting stuff. So the Lakers get their guy. We'll see how that and wish him well.
What another reference to Happy Gilmore? Didn't one of the references were other golfers attempted to hire? No, that was the football one. Crap.
Oh, the water boy.
The water boy that they would bring in other players.
Michigan tried a cowboy, a wide receiver, and
right.
Yeah. And yeah, that's good stuff.
I am the A-lister cowboy.
Yes. I like it. That's good. And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. All right.
So Blake, you're listening? I'm available.
Oh, we spent some time after the Super Bowl talking about Blake Lively. You can look back to one of those shows because, man, and she brought that red tracksuit for up there with Taylor, and she's married to what's his name, Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah.
So and he's doing pretty well for himself. Those two are that's I think the definition of a power couple right there. But hey, maybe she's looking for a towel boy,
a normie, an absolute normie. I'm sure it's happened. Like I think every once in a while I'll read about some A-lister that just goes off the reservation and picks up a normie. Like, and I'm thinking, like, what does he have?
Yeah,
what does he have?
They're going. Oh man, I don't want to drop any. No, I'm gonna stop there.
Wait, no, that's good stuff. Like, do it.
They're getting. There used to be a term we used to. It's probably way out of like in vogue. I'd probably get canceled for it now by saying something, but I can't. If I think of it, I'll say it. If I think of it, I'll go. Yeah. If I think of it, I'll bring
Howard.
It all right, real quick. We're gonna spend about a minute on the Stanley Cup, but which Stanley Cup do you prefer, Joe?
The pink one at Target. Yeah.
Yeah. I will say the Stanley Cup is the coolest trophy in all of sport. It is awesome. You can drink water out of it, much like your standard 30 or 40 ounce Stanley Cup.
It keeps both hot drinks hot and cool drinks cool.
Exactly. I admittedly am someone that doesn't watch hockey hardly at all. I'll watch, a handful of highlights or a game here and there. It is entertaining as hell to watch in the playoffs. But last night was the first time I've spent more than an hour watching a game. I did watch a lot of that, and it was really exciting. Edmonton was down 3-0 in the series, came back and tied it 3-3, went to Game 7. Florida wins the Stanley Cup. Connor McDavid is the best player in the NHL, but that him and the Edmonton Oilers fall short 2-1 last night. But that was a really, really entertaining game and series overall. But hockey, again, just like hockey, the WNBA, golf, that's something we don't spend a lot of time on, but there are very interesting things to all those sports that make it exciting.
I have appreciation for any dedicated fan base, people who show up and support their sport. So hockey's one of those things.
Hockey has rabid fans.
Yes, they do.
Very much like soccer. Those people get into it. And I think the fact with us, Cleveland has, the three major sports teams. Pittsburgh does too, but Cleveland has basketball and Pittsburgh has hockey, which is kind of cool because if you're a Cavs fan or if you're a Cleveland fan, you can kind of root for the Pittsburgh Penguins. And if you're a Pittsburgh fan, you can kind of root for the Cavs. So there's not a lot of hatred among that part of the fan base, which is kind of neat. But
now when we have a Summer Olympics, it renews all of our interest in sports that are not your three traditional ones.
Yes.
And so like you get to see like name a I don't know,
like steeplechase.
Yeah. Like you find your pole vault, beach volleyball. Like I got to
exactly,
gymnastics.
How much do you watch swimming? Unless you're going to like a kid's, Applewood Swim Club or whatever.
But it gives these other sports a chance to sort of like get the public eye.
Get the showcase.
Exactly.
I watched last night. I watched a women's 5,000 meter, which is a 5K, and it was just entertaining to watch, like because they all run in this group and like there's strategies behind it of like you want to conserve energy and then they push at the end, and it's amazing. It's amazing what they can do. And then I was watching the men's long jump, which is another. It's like the way they run. There's so much like skill, but like so much procedures they do. You know what I mean? There's this like aura to the way they do it.
Now, I want you to make a prediction.
Yeah.
Every Olympics has its thing where it's a controversy. It makes the headlines.
Yeah.
I want you to make a prediction about this year's Summer Games controversy.
Okay. I think I actually have one now that I'm going to say, okay, so protesting right now is a big thing. I think there will be some sort of, I don't know whether it's global warming or some sort of protest that will affect some sporting event. And
interruptions.
I'm not going to say anyone gets hurt or anything like that, but I'm going to say because Paris is one of the main cities of the world. You think of New York, Tokyo, Paris, London, cities like that. They're Toronto. They're global cities that have these like huge, there's people from everywhere. It's a huge melting pot. In the Olympics, that's literally what it is. Brings all these countries together. But I think Paris has always been a place where there's been a lot of protests. European stuff is more open. Now, I don't know the access and the security, but I will say there will probably be some sort of protest somewhere or crazy fans or something that try to interrupt some sports.
And those of you who are 12 years old or younger, the last 4 years, let me tell you the controversies.
Okay.
Number one was sex within the camps. Okay. Number two, doping and adding
that
enhancements.
Was a big Russian thing.
Absolutely. And three was just regular recreational drug use. And so those are the last 3 years what the big controversies were.
Interesting. Okay. I did not know about the last one there.
Yeah, weed smoking and hitting acid and whatever.
And these are literally, because a lot of times you're bringing these athletes are not just amateurs anymore. They're professionals and what they do because they can get paid now. But these are some of the most fit, top athletic people in the entire world. It's the best of the best that we have from everywhere. And it's interesting because
they put all these athletes that are in the best shape into a camp, right?
Yeah.
And make them hang out for a couple of months. What do you think is going to happen?
Well, yeah, that's where, and I mean, I would call that like super genetics right there. How
many gold medal babies do you think there were produced during the Olympics?
There's probably a few.
Yeah,
there's probably a few, but I think they pass out preventative measures there to probably
that was part of the controversy that they were distributing lots of prophylactics.
But keep them safe, and hey,
it's going to happen anyway.
Yeah,
might as well.
Exactly.
Help it.
Exactly. Do it, and especially it's like, hey, you're single or whatever, and you see, it's like, how often are you gonna hang out with someone from Brazil, Colombia, Japan, all these different countries too, and it probably leads to intermingling as well. So
I always thought it was weird, like some of those very communist countries that if their athletes didn't perform well, they would be murdered when they got home. Like I was cheered for them a little bit because I didn't want to see anybody die.
That's a good reason.
Speaking of villains,
Talking about the anti-heroes.
yes.
We're actually
Yeah.
rooting for the country that we shouldn't want to win because we don't want them to kill their athletes because they don't win a
yes,
gold, silver, or bronze. So
yes, they never have a second showing at a future Olympics
No.
if they don't do well.
yeah, let's
And not because they retire and get to live
yeah,
the great life.
They just disappear.
Disappear.
Yeah, but some of those athletes, literally, they're in those communist countries, they are probably, if they are found that they are good. I mean, I'm sure there's way worse things you could be put into, like like basically like labor camps, whereas like you are competing at what you're good at, but that would also lose its luster after a while. It's like,
So,
that's
okay,
all
you're
there
from
for.
Iran. Justin from Iran. Your coach
I look
comes.
like it, right?
Yes,
I wouldn't
absolutely.
last a week in Iran.
And so the coach comes up to you and says, "I want to wish you well and do your best."
He speaks English.
Total English, speaking
It's
exactly
a little
like
weird
that.
already.
Yes, and he says, "Finish third, or your family's killed." Is that motivation?
That
do you
is
do well?
That's a little too much pressure. That's a little bit more pressure than, hey.
Do you think you do better than you otherwise would? Or
Me, no. No. I like, people will say pressure is a privilege, but when your job's on the line, that's one thing. When your life or your family's life's on that line, that's a little bit, that might.
But just think how hard you would run in that last 100 meters. It would be.
But if you physically can't do it, because there are some athletes that, like,
dude, there are people that lift cars to save people when it's on the line. Just think of what you could do.
That's true, but
the freaking Flash.
Let's take the best Iranian basketball players and let's put the 5 best on the court.
Okay, all 5'8".
Yeah, let's put the 5 best, and then you put out whoever. You pick any 5 players in the NBA. I don't care if they're the worst 5.
They will 9th round.
Exactly. They will still win. Let alone if you put LeBron and Durant and Anthony Edwards and Luke. Well, Luka would be in a different country, but you know what I mean. Like, you take the best 5 American athletes, and
the Iranian guys
they're going to wipe them clean. Let alone you take the 12th guy.
And most of those people didn't volunteer for that. They went around and picked the people and said, "You're going to be on the basketball team." And I'm like, "Oh shit."
Iran basketball, something we don't often talk about, but
it came up today.
We'll see how they do. Maybe they qualified for the Olympics. I don't know. All right, so we got to move on because we're running short on time. But we have not addressed the major topic of social media.
Probably the event of the year.
Probably the most famous female of the year.
Not Caitlin Clark.
Nope.
Not Taylor Swift.
Nope.
Who's it going to be?
Do we even know her name? Does anyone know her name?
Well, she has taken on the aura of the phrase.
Yes, we know what she stands for, and we know she's from the South because of that accent. That's all I know. But we are, of course, talking about the Tuah girl. And if you don't know, just look it up.
Well, pretend I haven't seen it. Why don't you describe to me who Tuah is?
I'm going to say just go Google it, Joe.
That's dangerous.
Yeah.
Tuah can lead you into desperate places.
Just HAWK. TUAH. Just go Google her, and she
let her present herself.
Yes, yeah, she
in all her glory.
She is. She became she united the country more than Donald Trump or Joe Biden could ever do in 4 years.
100%.
But she is I mean, she's cute girl. I think they were probably just drunk in Nashville. Somebody interviewed her and said like, "What do you do if you're single?" and this and that. And like she went into different things, but the memes though. I just want to go over the memes that I saw, my favorite memes over the last week. And we're just gonna show you a few of them right now. So There's the old Nintendo.
Yes.
So anyone that's of Joe's and I's age, anyone let's say between the age of 30 to, I mean, you could probably go up to 60 to 70. Anybody that would have played Nintendo back as a kid, the cases, the cartridges, you would have to blow on them to, literally blow on them to whatever dust or whatever particles, because remember the screen would flash if you didn't get them. And
can I give you the scientific explanation for that? Because I know there are people out there that wondered why they had to blow on them. So inside those cartridges, there were copper contacts.
Oh.
And they had to make contact with another copper contacts inside the console. And when they would get dust on them, they wouldn't make proper. So when you blew in there, you actually blew in your breath that had saliva and humidity. So then it would corrode. So every time you blew in it, it became worse, and you would have to blow in it more. So when you hawk Tuah, you had to hawk Tuah more.
Okay.
Totally.
So
don't blow on your Nintendo cartridge.
Okay. That's good information right there.
There you
so
go.
what do you say? Like take a Q-tip or something?
Well, yeah, you alcohol so that it doesn't corrode.
Interesting. All right. See, we're not just having some fun. We're learning lessons too.
Amen.
This is great. This is what we are here for. All right. Next one. This has got to be Hawk Tuah's dad forever. Just outside smoking. Could you imagine being a grandparent or a parent?
Did you see who her dad actually was?
No, I have not.
I think he was a Baptist preacher.
Okay.
Totally.
All those really super uber Southern religious people.
So
they all have a little freak in them.
For sure.
Yeah.
So you're the preacher. Do you bring it into Sunday morning's message?
I mean,
you got to, like,
you can't.
Everybody, you would have a full church that weekend. So because they're expecting you to hawk to a sermon.
You can't turn the page. That could be the next meme. Of course, on Sunday there was a rain delay in Cleveland, so the good Hawk Tuah.
But they covered the field, yes, so they're safe.
They did it in record time too. I was actually driving and listening to the radio broadcast. They said they did it in like 50 seconds. That's amazing stuff.
Heck yeah.
All right, next one. Remember that game? What was that? Street Fighter? Hawk Tuah!
Finish him!
That's a different game. But I did see that meme, but I couldn't put it in there. We're making Joe laugh cough.
So that's so good.
The old meme of Homer Simpson around the bar of just everything that's on social media. That's a classic one. It's Pride Month, but here comes the train, and she is just destroying that. Totally wiped out Pride Month with the old Hawk Tuah. Maybe helped it in certain cases. This was one of my favorite ones. For anyone that was a Jurassic Park fan, remember when he loses that canister of Barbasol and it goes out and he's got to find it, and that one, it looks like this cute little dinosaur, and the things flap up and like spits on him. And
Hawk
I mean,
Tuah for sure.
Total Hawk Tuah.
Probably the first Hawk Tuah.
Yep, probably. We are bringing out the 7th graders in all of us right now.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's like she's releasing our inner child, I think,
Do you watch any of the comedy shows in the evening? Have they done any skits or Saturday Night Live or anything?
Well, Saturday Night Live is not they're like off season right now. I have not, and I don't really watch
Jimmy Kimmel or any of those guys.
I'm sure they've done stuff.
They had to have.
Like for me, it's like I check my social media, and that gives me all the information and all the weaponry I need, because there are some really creative people out there.
And I will tell you, social media is just amazing, because even if you missed the actual recording, you knew everything that was important about Hawk Tuah.
Exactly. Yeah. You didn't have to see the actual video to know what was going on. It's so good.
Thank you, social media, for filling us in.
100%. This one's about as simple as it gets, but
look at that.
AJ Hawk and Tuah Tagovailoa. AJ Hawk, by the way, fun fact, I've played poker with AJ Hawk a couple times down in Columbus. So good dude. But I mean, that is the literal Hawk Tuah right there. So
was he a good poker player?
I don't think he won. But it was actually a couple Buckeyes, because kid from Canfield that we knew used to be their study table teacher. So he would bring them over, and we'd play some cards, a couple times here and there throughout. I think it was like 2000. Let's say it was 2004, but maybe 05. But AJ Hawk, Bobby Carpenter, and Anthony Schlegel, as well as Mike Nugent, who was a good kicker. They at some point played a couple hands of poker with us just over a couple buddies' houses. So it was fun. It was good times, and like they were like at the peak of their game.
See,
too,
I always picture like when celebrities play poker. Do you remember that Brad Pitt movie where he plays with the celebrities and he's
Ocean's 11?
Was it 11 or was it?
It was 11. Yeah,
that's the way I picture it. Like they're clueless, they got
yeah.
a bunch of money to lose,
Yeah.
but they really don't know the game.
These guys were pretty good. They weren't, and they're the competitive side in them. But I think like it was kind of one of those where it was like everybody kind of won. We played like 5 or 6 games, throughout, a couple months, and everybody kind of took their turn winning here or there. So we didn't take them for too much money, at least. So, I mean, this one goes without explanation, but the old meme of Bill Clinton sitting at his desk by himself, but Hillary's in the other room. There's really 2 people in there. So
can you imagine coming home to that at night? Man,
I mean, I don't want to be mean, but this one's kind of funny. The Stephen Hawking Tuah.
You got to make a play on that for sure.
Tuah Matata.
That's the wrong one. That's a bad one.
That one's good. Just the Lego guy just sitting back and enjoying. So that one's solid as well. Yep. I actually, you'd be proud of me. I actually made this one myself. So
nice.
I found this picture and I'm like, I think it was like the original. It was like
Red
doll boy, so blah blah blah. Like it was over and over and over from The Shining. But yeah, you typing that out.
That's good.
We're just doing Hawk Tuah. And then the New York Mets closer this past weekend got thrown out before he even threw a pitch because there was spit or a foreign substance on the ball. So I thought that one
definitely Hawk Tuah.
Yeah, I thought that one was pretty good. And then of course we're gonna close it out with Samuel L. Jackson from Pulp Fiction. You say that one more time and gets a gun in your face. So
all right. So before you close it out,
yeah,
what becomes of the Hawk Tuah girl? Where does she go with this?
I think she will have fame. She'll get her 15 minutes of fame, which is already there. She will, I'm sure, get some endorsement deals. She's gonna get paid, and she's gonna do real well. She will probably be invited to a lot of events, and I think she'll fade into the limelight, but she will be known as that girl. When we're talking about this in 5 years, be like, oh my gosh, I remember that. Like a part of pop culture that will like stick around, but maybe not be at the forefront of your mind. But if someone brings it up, you can picture her face.
So what's she going to do for her second act? She's got to Britney Spears it up and go to a whole new level of Hawk Tuah to
I bet she's a good girl. I'm going to just say this. I bet she's a good kid and got caught up in the moment and was having some fun with it. And, she might be a little freaky behind the scenes, but I bet she's a good, normal person for the most part. But just by that accent, you could tell the little country twang, the little, she was obviously having some fun. I think they were in Nashville, but I think she keeps her celebrity probably for the rest of the year. And she should cash in on that as much as she can. That would be my advice. And then we'll see what happens to her. But I don't think she's going to be in the limelight for a ton longer. This isn't going to be something that they're talking about on the Today Show. This is like, we want PG content and stuff on there. But I think for the most part on like social media and stuff, she's going to be a meme for a long
She's got one platform to parlay this. Like she was a school teacher, so obviously she's not going to be
a teacher.
She was a teacher.
Oh.
And so she's
why not though? Why should she not be a teacher?
The school district is going to dump her faster than you can imagine.
I don't like that.
So I think
like that.
I'm with you. I think she's going to play out the next month of making as many appearances because she's as hot as you can get. Not, metaphorically.
Yeah. Metaphorically. Yeah. She's cute though.
But OnlyFans is her platform.
Yeah.
She can go a year, make about probably $1 billion.
No way.
$1 billion.
No way.
And well, you get to see Hawk Tuah's feet. How much would you pay?
I'm not paying for anybody's feet.
What's your go-to? Like, if not feet, what is it?
I'm not saying this live on air. I don't really have a preference. Nothing I want to share.
Whatever your version of feet is,
yeah,
she makes her $1 billion.
Okay.
In a year.
No way. Not $1 billion. Do you even think she makes $1 million?
No,
No.
she doesn't. Couple months, she's hot as can be.
She's gonna make a lot. She's gonna make a hell of a lot more than she was teaching, but
she has to now. Like she has to.
But like she should not be fired.
She's not going to be the associate pastor of her dad's church. She's not going to be a teacher.
Think about like most, just like any other job, there's really good teachers, there's bad. There's a few sprinkled in of bad teachers. But some of those people that you probably think are like the neat, clean, tidy, whatever, they probably got some skeletons in their closet, don't you think?
All the celebrities that you have met, when they're not talking publicly, they're all that. Like there's not a single one that I've ever met that, said things to me that, like their stock value almost came down a little bit because they're just like you and I.
They're
so
normal,
if we're jerks and we're a little bit, on that side,
sometimes we put people on a pedestal and they're really just normal people. Some people are true to their colors, and there's those sayings of like, sometimes you don't want to meet your hero because
100%.
You really see their true colors when they come out. But so.
But think about though, like if you had one moment like this that caught fire, that you would forever be referred to that. Like you for the rest of your life, you're going to be that person.
Yeah. That's very true. And I can understand where a school district would be a little leery of that, but maybe they find a job for her outside of the classroom and then they can bring her back in like a year or two. But I would hate to think she would be fired for like maybe it's like, well, it's not becoming of a teacher or a professional or whatever. I get it. But how many other people were doing stupid stuff that night that are uber professional that just wasn't caught on camera, but I guess maybe that's a consequence. So I don't know. That's a very intriguing thing. I had no idea she was a teacher or her dad was a pastor. That's some interesting stuff.
But remember, I'm getting my information from memes on social media. So
don't believe the internet.
You don't know if anything I've read is actually true, but I'm thinking it is.
Okay. All right. We will come back. Somebody fact check us on that and we'll see how we do. All right. I want to close out with this because I have like 10 other things I want to talk about, but
we're
gonna run it. We're gonna run it.
Talk to too much.
We spent too much time on bitching about downtown Youngstown and stuff like that, so that's on me. But what would you do? So let me ask this: What would you do? There has been a lot of fights in the stands. They're becoming a regular thing. If you were in a section and there was a fight by you, what would you do?
Man, I'm so passive aggressive when I go to games. If I went to one today, I would probably cause the fight just because I get so mad.
Yeah.
A couple Browns games, Raven fans are behind me and they're talking shit. Like, you're saying stuff under your breath. But man, I've thankfully never been around a fight, but I would stay clear of it, man. It gets brutal.
NFL fights are like a thing of like, it's every week in the stands. I feel like I have seen a couple fights at Brown Steeler games and stuff like that. I am not someone, I like to have fun. And I think there's a difference between having fun in a rivalry, but then also like crossing the line.
Yeah.
When you make physical contact with someone, that's going too far.
All right. Well, what's a good reason? So spilling a beer on somebody, fight worthy.
If you throw it on somebody, they have a right to defend themselves.
Talking shit.
No.
Okay.
Wait a minute. Talking shit, if you're coming at me and then someone's with me or like a little kid and you're swearing at them or talking shit to them, that's different.
Well, next one.
Still don't go to fighting.
My next one. Insulting the people that you're with, your dad, your wife, your kid, fight worthy.
I would hope, this is just me. I might chirp back a little bit, but at the end of the day, if you start the physicalness, you are going to be caught on camera. You're going to be the one that maybe pays the repercussions when that person is the asshole. So what I would do, and I'm not someone that's like, oh, tell on this person, tell on that person. Oh, this person snuck in a alcohol, or this person, is being a little drunk and over the top. That if you're having fun and you're a little bit like boisterous or a little bit like, what's the word I'm looking for? Like just being a little obnoxious. That's one thing.
Heckling.
But, yeah. If you're heckling, that's fine. And there's some people you just roll your eyes and be like, all right, whatever. But if they cross the line and they become physical, I think you have to remove yourself from that situation as fast as possible. And 90% of these fights are probably alcohol induced. So I can say I've had some fun at some games, and I've been intoxicated at some games before, but I think you really have to know your limits and understand the situation you're in. If you look at a person and that's a person you wouldn't walk up to on the street and say something to their face, or you'd be a little bit intimidated by, whether that's, physically or like, shit, this person's just straight up crazy, I wouldn't mess with it. I'm not, you said passive aggressive. I am not someone that's an aggressive person at all. I might chirp back a little bit if you're causing some trouble or saying something. But at the end of the day, if I think that's going to escalate into like a fight or something, I'd probably go, like if I had my kids, I'd get out of there. I want them no part of that. But then there might be legal repercussions. There might be like, you might be caught on video looking like a jackass.
Well, in all these fights that go down, number one, it's a terrible place to fight. There's not enough room to take your stance and square up with someone.
Yeah.
Number two, if you start throwing punches, like there's people who will just start throwing punches because it all started.
Yeah.
So chances you're going to beat down by everybody is high.
I also think there's some people that are just looking for
a fight
too.
Yeah.
And it's like, you got to remove yourself. Like there are some people that like, you don't know their background. They might not look intimidating, but that person might have been in prison for 4 years and they just might be going to a game to like, hey, I just, I haven't been punched in a while. I want somebody to hit me and I want to get back. There was that, there was like a story a few years ago. It was like a couple Oklahoma football players got into a fight with this guy that looked like kind of like nerdy, but he was a black belt in like Taekwondo and he beat the shit out of him. And it's like, I want no part of that, and it's like, I'm not the person to cause a fight, to get into a fight, but I would remove myself from that situation. But generally, these fights you see in the stands are like these, and I hate to body shame anyone, but they're usually these out of shape, like rough looking, middle-aged people that are like, I don't know. They
can't handle their alcohol.
Yeah. Can't handle their alcohol or just having a bad day and trying to take it out on somebody else. And it's like, I love sports as much as anyone else, but if you're letting that team or that game dictate maybe like the next couple hours or a couple weeks of your life because you're going to get in a fight because of it, then, and if there's a fight, there might be repercussions for months and years later.
Injury, legal repercussions. You might get your ass handed to you by multiple people who weren't even involved. I'll stay out of it too.
So our best advice is don't be in a fight.
Just watch the freaking game.
But don't also, there's people that want to like step in and help out. That's fine. But also you might just want to let security handle that because
keep them separated. Like hold on to the people, keep them separated. They'll settle down. Let security get there. Exactly. That's the best way.
So
I got one more for you.
Yeah, please.
So the dude, I thought of you as soon as I saw this. The dude that ran across the field and got tasered.
Yeah.
We haven't mentioned it. Did you have part of you have a slide for it?
Nope.
Thoughts?
I thought it was funny. I think it was a kid that did something stupid, but that's going to be on his record now. And he got tased. He showed up the next morning in the same Pete Rose jersey. And here's a bit of information that someone told me that's good information to people that might be on the 4th of July next weekend on a holiday weekend. Let's say you get arrested somewhere on the 4th of July, which I believe is on a Thursday. You get arrested on the 4th of July in like, let's say Put-in Bay. There's no court on Friday. There's no court on Saturday. There's no court on Sunday. You got to wait till Monday morning. So if you're going to get arrested, at least wait till Sunday to do it. Don't be stupid. But like, just don't be stupid. Have some fun, but know your limits. Maybe I think at the end of the day, that's a good rule of thumb for everybody. Look at us.
So here's our four knowledge nuggets.
Yep.
Nintendo cartridges, don't blow on them because it creates more problems. Make sure that Blake Lively, you are dating her because she's an A-lister and she'll date a normie. The next one is do not get in fights in the stands because you could get in a brawl that legal repercussions. Don't get tased, bro.
Don't get tased. Don't tase me, bro. Don't tase me, bro. Okay. I have way more to talk about, but we're not going to get to it. I'm out of time. So this was fun. This will actually be our last show for a couple weeks because I will be out of town. And so maybe Joe will call me up and we'll do a Skype or something.
From the beach.
Or Skype. Do people still use Skype? I have no idea.
Yeah, hit me up on AOL Instant Messenger.
Yeah. I'll put my away message up. We can talk. Hawk Tuah will be my...
That's your handle
message.
now?
Yeah.
Hawk Tuah Justin.
So, oh man. All right. That's it. Everybody enjoy your week, enjoy your weekend, and we will talk soon. But I will still continue to put stuff on our social media, so make sure to follow Youngstown Studio as well as the 33F Sports Show. Everybody enjoy your week, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you for listening to this show on Youngstown Studio. This is original Youngstown content. Feel free to share our videos and tell your friends about us. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook. Thank you for your support.